When someone says, "What's yours is mine," does it go both ways? My husband Ethan made six figures at his family's nursing home chain, but shared none of it. I worked at a homeless shelter for minimum wage while he bought Rolexes and made me beg for grocery money. I had to ask permission to buy tampons, and he'd make me wait until next month if he thought I was using too many. When I needed $20 for my sister's birthday dinner, he made me promise to only order water and a salad. "You're too emotional to handle money, which is why you chose a bleeding heart career instead of something profitable," he'd say while spending more on one dinner than I made in a month. He monitored all my texts and emails and said his family's lawyers would destroy me if I tried to leave. He told me they'd make sure I ended up homeless like the people I wasted my life helping. When I got pregnant, I cried because I'd always wanted to be a mother, and because I was terrified of how Ethan would react. He calculated how much the baby would cost and scheduled an abortion for the next week. I begged him to let me keep it, but he said I'd proven I couldn't even manage grocery money, so how could I manage a child? He made me pay him back for half the procedure from my food budget, while I cried myself to sleep every night for months. The worst part was how he'd bring it up whenever I asked for anything, like I owed him for saving me from ruining my life with a baby. But then federal investigators showed up at his family's nursing homes with warrants and camera crews. They'd been billing Medicare for dead residents and drugging elderly people who complained about abuse. Ethan's father and uncle got arrested on live television, while law enforcement froze all their assets, including our bank accounts. Ethan came home screaming that I needed to find a real job immediately to support us through this temporary setback. But then something amazing happened. My shelter got a massive federal grant and offered me the director position because I was the only one with the right degree. The salary was triple what I'd ever made, while Ethan now had nothing after lawyers took everything. We moved into a tiny apartment near my work because he couldn't afford his BMW anymore. Suddenly he was the sweetest husband in the world, making my coffee and packing my lunch with little love notes. He wrote out a budget for my salary showing how we could live comfortably if I let him manage the money again. "We're a team, and teams share everything equally," he said while trying to get my bank password. I opened my own account and changed my direct deposit without telling him. When he found out, he cried actual tears, saying marriage meant sharing everything. "You financially abused me for 5 years and made me beg for tampon money," I said while he followed me around the apartment. He swore he'd changed and that losing everything taught him what really mattered. But I knew he just wanted access to my money because no one would hire him with his name all over the news. He started love bombing me with flowers from the park and elaborate dinners from groceries bought with food stamps. I filed for divorce thinking I'd finally be free from him. Ethan laughed, saying his prenup meant I'd get nothing from the marriage. The problem was, he had nothing left to protect while I was now making good money. My lawyer explained that since I'd been supporting him, I'd have to keep paying him alimony. Ethan showed up to mediation in his last designer suit with a lawyer he'd paid using his mother's jewelry. He argued that he'd supported me for years, so now it was my turn to support him forever. The mediator suggested we split things evenly, but Ethan wanted more than half of everything. He said he was traumatized by his family's crimes and needed my financial support to heal from the trauma. My lawyer told me to stay quiet even though I wanted to scream at his lies. I sat there realizing I'd escaped his abuse just to become financially responsible for supporting my abuser. Ethan smiled at me the same way he used to when denying me money for groceries. "What's yours is mine, baby, just like when I had the money and you had nothing." His lawyer kept pushing for maximum support, saying Ethan deserved to maintain his lifestyle. They wanted most of my salary, plus health insurance and retirement funds. Ethan fake cried about how I was abandoning him when he needed me most. He said I was heartless for leaving him during the worst time of his life. The mediator actually seemed to feel sorry for him, which made me sick to my stomach. I finally stood up to leave because I couldn't listen to him playing victim anymore. Ethan grabbed my wrist hard enough to leave bruises and pulled me back down. His lawyer pretended not to see while mine was busy with her phone. I yanked my arm away and headed for the door, but Ethan followed me into the hallway, still gripping my arm. "I wonder how your religious shelter board would feel about their new director being a baby killer," he said with that same smile from our wedding day. "All those Catholic donors finding out you had an abortion because a baby would inconvenience your career." He pulled out his phone and showed me an email draft addressed to every board member with my medical records attached. "Give me everything I want or I hit send right now and you lose the only job you've ever been proud of." Full story on the channel below.